On this episode of the Carolina Sports Guy, we're going to dive in and look at the history of the Charlotte Hornets / Bobcats NBA playoff history, or should I say, lack thereof. Before we get into today's content, folks, make sure you subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. Pound that like button, leave me some comments. I love the dialogue. And hit that bell notification to be notified of future videos on the Hornets, Carolina Hurricanes, Carolina Panthers, and major college sports in both North and South Carolina. All right, folks, I know I've kind of covered, I think I've covered one on the Hurricanes NHL playoff history, and I've got to go back and look at how much detail I put into it. But I know I've covered the playoff wins in the video for the Panthers and all the playoff losses for the Panthers. So today, I kind of want to look the lack thereof. You know, we've had 30 plus seasons of Charlotte Hornet basketball. And remember, you know, other than a couple of years, really, where we didn't have a team because they moved to New Orleans and we had to wait. It's a long time. And we've had, out of 30 seasons, 10 playoffs. And that just really don't cut it, folks. That's one every 3 years. Now, first time the Hornets made the playoffs. Remember, they come into the league in 88 as an expansion team, and the way things work, we knew there was going to be a struggle in 88 and then 89 and 90. And, of course, by then, you know, we got Alonzo Mourning, and we had Larry Johnson, and got some other players and some key contributors like Muggsy Bogues and Dale Curry coming off the bench, and Kendall Gills coming in by about that time. So 1993, first taste of playoffs. Hornets win their opening series. You think this is a great sign. I remember the excitement. Alonzo hit his shot. They beat Boston 3-1, and Boston was still a perennial team, folks. This is 93. I'm still trying to remember if Larry Bird was there. Maybe he wasn't. I can't remember because I really just keep up with the Hornets, trying to remember. But you did have a lot of those players that were in that old regime of the Boston Celtics from the late 80s that were still playing on this team. And the Hornets won that opening series and thought it was great. But then they got to run into the New York Knicks. And, of course, you've got Patrick Ewing by this time. And they dominate and win 4-1, 4-1. So that kind of ended the 93 season. Hornets don't make the playoffs in 94, come back in 95. And they end up losing the first round to Chicago. Folks, it's the Bulls and Jordan. And they lose 3-1. So, you know, winning that one game, it was something special, but it's tough. Then in 1999, they run into another perennial team they always struggle with, the New York Knicks. And like I said, it's not 1999, it's 97, but they missed in 96 the playoffs. In 97, they run into the Knicks and get beat 3-0. And they really struggle with Patrick Ewing in the Knicks. Then in 1998, they come back. And they win the first round. They beat the Atlanta Hawks 3-1. So here we go with another playoff victory. It's 98. I think by this time, I think it's Dave Cowens as the head coach, but it could have been Paul Silas, but I think it's Dave Cowens. But he ended up having to play Chicago Bulls again, and this time in the second round, and they lose to the Bulls 4-1. So, you know, having to deal with Jordan was tough. They don't make the playoffs in 99. 2000, they lose in the first round. They lose to Philadelphia 3-1. I believe Iverson is still there, if I'm not mistaken. Just heartbreak. Just not really prepared and ready to do well. But 2001, they come back. And after, you know, finally starting to get some years in a row here, they win their first round series. They beat Miami 3-0. Very important. Miami doesn't have the players in the team. And remember, this is a Miami squad at this period of time. They haven't won any championships yet. But then the second round, they got to play, I want to say they're playing Milwaukee. This was the crushing series, folks, because they're playing Milwaukee in 2001 here, and they lose 4-3. And I believe Game 7 was in Charlotte. And it was at the old Coliseum. And remember, this is a period of time where the Hornets are talking about leaving. And everybody's on the edge of their seat. And, of course, they're going to stick around for another year. But it was a sadness because you just could feel that this team was going to leave. And lo and behold, 7-game series. I know Sam Cassell was playing for Milwaukee. Tough loss. I remember this little kid crying in the stands. Charlotte with David Wesley at that time. Thought we were really going places and doing well, and we just couldn't get over the hump. And we lost that second round. And I don't know if we'd have won the third round, which would have been the Eastern Conference Finals, but it would have been nice to have seen if we could have made it that far, what we could have done. And we've never been to the Eastern Conference or the whole NBA Finals for that matter. And I think it's just us in New Orleans now who's never been that far. Now, 2002, the last year they're in Charlotte. They end up winning the first round. They beat Orlando 3-1, but then they have to play in the New Jersey Nets, and I think it's Jason Kidd, but they lose 4-1, and that was 2002. Now, what's going to happen then after this season ends? The 2003 season is when they're really going to go to New Orleans, and we don't have a team. And in 2004, they're in New Orleans still, and we don't have a team. And then it's the 2004-2005 season, I believe, when we finally have a team again. So, this was going to be the old Charlotte Hornets getting knocked out in the second round by New Jersey. I thought the 2001 team was far better when they lost to Milwaukee than the 2002 team. But this is the pinnacle of their success. Because when you go back and look, folks, the year 1998, they didn't make it in 99. They lost in 2000, 2001, 2002. So for 4 years, or I say 5 years, 98, they don't make it in 99, 2000, 2001, 2002. So for 3 out of 5 years, they got out of the first round. 4 or 5 years, they made the playoffs. That was really their best run. 5-year stretch, 4 playoffs, 3 opening round wins. But all 3 of those opening round wins, second round losses. Now, not going to see the playoffs again until the Bobcats come to town. Whether they come around, I'm trying to think about 2004, 2005, and it's going to take them a few years. 2010, they lose the first round, they lose to Orlando, and I think this is when Dwight Howard's there. They lose 4-0. Then 2014, the Bobcats had a decent team, but they lose the first round to Miami 4-0. I know the 2010 squads are what I want to say that had Steven Jackson and Gerald Wallace, and they really did well during the regular season. They just couldn't get past Orlando. They just didn't match up well with them in that round. 2014, I want to see when Kemba's there, and just couldn't hold their own. They squeaked in the playoffs, kind of got in, floundered around 7th and 8th seed, and just couldn't get it done. 2016, as the newly branded Charlotte Hornets, they lose in the first round. Miami's a nemesis again. We beat them one series, they beat us a series, now they beat us a second series. It was a 4-3, hard-fought first-round series. Miami beat the Charlotte Hornets. Now, I don't think you can really count this COVID year 2020-2021 where Charlotte finished 10th and got in the play-in game. They considered it kind of like a mini playoff, but Indiana won that game, 1-0, and moved on. But went further than what other teams. At least it was like a play-in round. But folks, when you look at all-time Charlotte Hornets, these 10 playoff years out of 30 seasons, their overall record is 23 playoff wins and 40 playoff losses. It's kind of sad. So, what do you guys think? Can he ever be like the Hurricanes and win some rounds? Can they be like the Panthers and make it to a championship game? Or win it like the Hurricanes did? Leave me some comments. Pound that like button. Hit that bell notification to be notified of future content like what's in today's video. And by all means, folks, subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And we will see you on another episode of the Carolina Sports Guy.